Okay, so none of them are these people coming back to their alma mater. It's a bad way to hire people. And then I'll let Lug speak.
Yeah, Lugs, T-Dog's not feeling it. How are you on this situation here?
Well, my first response was, who? You're buying out a $10 million contract. You'd think that you would go ahead and spend the money and get a name coach, so at least you've got some press play. You get some sort of value, PR value out of it. This to me sounds like, okay, we're going to mothball this thing because admittedly their players this year weren't very good, but they have like 6 or 7 in the portal already, and maybe that's a good thing. I think you're at least, I hate to make this prediction, but you know me, I think you're 10 years before IU basketball will have any relevance nationally at all. They've buried themselves with this hire.
We got a crowd gathering outside the door here. I'm going to have to hold them off with that little prediction there. Hang on a second, man. All right, they're out of here.
They missed.
Yes, I agree with you because it's a 6-year contract, $3 million roughly per year, and there's incentives, but I doubt he's going to hit some of those incentives, so it's all right. We're not going to bring up the incentives. The buyout is if he gets fired before his first 4 years, then the contract is 100% guaranteed. So that's $18 million. If he gets to year 5 and they cut him, then they save 50%. So regardless of what happens, he's getting $15 million from IU. It's just I don't know. And it's also just, I know he wasn't their first option, but to fire Archie with not sending enough feelers to know beforehand that Brad Stevens was never going to take this job at this point in his career. He was never going to take this job. I know that was probably who their number one was. I don't even really know who they actually tried to feel out after that. It just feels like a complete botched job. And IU basketball, at least at this point right now, is very akin to Tennessee football, which is not good.
So you're basically saying that it was a smoke-filled room kind of deal, like back in the old Citizen Kane days. Hey, give me another bourbon. Guys smoking stogies and saying, we need this coach because we're getting rid of that coach. I mean, it's like that.
I feel on some level there was influence from the boosters, and this is the
no. You think so?
Come
on. Of course there was.
I think there's a chance that yes. If not, that this AD, I know it's early in his run, like he's already going to be out the door.
Scott Dolson, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, especially in the Big 10, Big 12, whatever it is at this point.
It's the Big 12.
Actually, yeah. I think there's 14 teams in there.
Ooh, the Big 10, the Big 12, Big 16, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, it's the Big 10.
They're going to get just decimated for the next couple of years for sure. I mean, the kind of losses that they've never had at IU. So, yeah, they had an opportunity, I think. I mean, if you can pay that man that much money, guaranteed money, you got to go with, I mean, honestly, I would have gone with Pitino. At least you know you're going to win some basketball games. And what are you paying for if you're not paying for wins at this point? So, I don't know.
All right, we'll say Godspeed, Mike Woodson. Shall we move on?
Yeah,
so
sure.
Suddenly the 49ers have the number 3 pick in the NFL draft, getting it from the Dolphins for the 12th pick that they then traded to Philly. The Fish now have the 6th pick and multiple future first-round picks, so I can't keep up with the Sport Weasels. Does this clearly say or state that Tua is their quarterback for the future in Miami? What do you think about all this?
They put a big bet on him at this point. And also it says to me that San Francisco is, they like Garoppolo, but he ain't the guy.
Apparently.
He won't be there after this season. Now he'll be with Bill. He'll go back to the hoodie. So, and I don't know, man. I mean, this has just been the craziest trading season. I mean, I get that the cap has done some weird things, but I think everybody has come out. I think that like the New York Giants, Galladay, that's definitely an upgrade. I think they've got the people in place now where if Daniel Jones doesn't show up and do something this year, and they were doing at the end of this last season, they were doing pretty well. I got to eat some of my words about Joe Judge. So I think people will help themselves out with this trading, but who does San Francisco take? Do they take Trey? I mean, who does it look like you think that they're going to grab?
That's the big question.
That's the thing that's fascinating. So, like, the funniest thing to come out of it was, and obviously this is a very small amount of people. So when the 49ers traded the 12th overall pick and they traded their 22 and 23rd first round picks, so the next 2 years after, for the third overall pick, some people are like, well, I wonder what they're going to do. It's like, what do you mean what they're going to do? You only do that if you're going to draft a quarterback.
Hey, right.
But it is fascinating because if you look at his history with Matt Ryan, with Jimmy Garoppolo, before that with Kirk Cousins, it would seem to point to Mac Jones. That's where they want to go. And he was in attendance at Mac Jones's pro day. Kyle Shanahan was. That being said, he's indicated, Kyle Shanahan's indicated that hopefully, I think, and again, it's not that I dislike Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones could be successful in 49ers. I think he should go with Trey Lance because I think Trey Lance adds a lot to the offense if you have that mobility in addition to the creativity of the play calling. So I think Trey Lance should be the option.
Yeah, I his upside, I think, is much, much larger than Mac Jones. Mac Jones, I could see in New England, because he reminds me a lot of Brady in the sense that he's very smart. He's not really mobile, but he knows the plays inside out. But we'll see. I mean, then you got Zach Wilson, who's a hell of a player too. And then Justin Fields. I mean,
yeah. Well, Zach Wilson, from all reports, he's not going to be there at 3. He's gone.
So, how do you see this lining up quarterback? Just name your top 3 or 4 in the order they'll go. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, check. And then what?
Zach Wilson, check. Those essentially a guy who writes for The Athletic. He's their main scout guy, Dan Bugler. He had a scout text him at Zach Wilson's pro day. He's like, the draft starts at 3, essentially.
Gotcha.
So that's where it's intriguing because the third one, do they go Mac Jones or do they go Trey Lance? And obviously, to be fair, Justin Fields has a lot of talented too, because at least with Justin Fields, I'll give this Justin Fields over the 2 names we talked about. If you really think about it, Mac Jones really only played like a few games the year before in this full season. So he's got 17 games. Same with Trey Lance. So you're talking about very small amount of games played where at least Fields started 2 years at Ohio State. So for maybe not having some of the abilities, he at least has more experience than those other 2. And he's probably a better athlete than Trey Lance, or he's at least comparable to. So,
I was going to say that Justin Fields, it seems to me, from what I've seen of the games, he's far more durable because I've seen him take some licks and pop right back up and go right back after it. The other guys, I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, and again, I know it's not at the Indianapolis Combine, so like the times are off of hand, I think, but still, he was supposedly clocked at 4.4 on his 40 time. So Justin Fields, I mean, that's a very impressive 40 time for a quarterback. I guess spinning it the other way, I find it fascinating because just that the third overall pick for the Dolphins came from trading Laramie Tunsil to the Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm.
So they then take that and they get all those picks from the 49ers, and then they trade the 12th pick that was the Niners and a 2021 fourth rounder and one of their first round picks, 2022 first round pick for the 6th overall pick and a 5th rounder. That allows them to possibly get Jamar Chase, the wide receiver out of LSU, Kyle Pitts, the tight end. If you want to call him a tight end, he's essentially Calvin Johnson from Florida, or Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman from Northwestern, to really help Tua develop into possibly what they envisioned last year. So, and I just want to just give a hats off to Chris Greer, the GM of the Dolphins. I just think what he's done these last few years, like in addition to what Flores is doing on the coaching side, like they are going to be the team to beat besides Buffalo. As much as I respect Belichick, I just look at how well they're getting this team revved up.
At AFC East, huh? Yep.
Yeah, I think they're going to be the team to contend with Buffalo the next few years. No one else. So
I think the big winner in the whole deal are the Dolphins. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so those guys only played, who'd you say played only 17 games? Reminds me of the 2017 draft when a certain quarterback only started 13 college games. That would be one Mitchell J. Trubisky. Enough said there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd just like to mention that as far as the combine days, Tutu Atwell ran I think it was like a 4.32 or something. I mean, it was a crazy number. He was fast. His problem is he's 155 pounds.
What's your problem with that?
Well, in the pros, they can only whack you in theoretically for the first 5 yards. In college, they can just keep beating on you for as long as they want. So, and he did well then. Also, Dez Bryant did real well, and cornerback character for U of L apparently had himself a good showing. So we may see some of the U of L guys playing somewhere.
I think Hawkins, the running back, I think he'll be playing somewhere. Like he's obviously dependent on being in like an outside zone a team that runs that outside zone. Like he's his own running back, but I think if he goes the right spot, I think he could be a hell of a running back for somebody.
Yeah, I think he's a good third down back as well as far as catching a pass, because he did get to do that a few times with U of L, and he has a good set of hands.
And Lugs, you're right. I mean, I know Tutu Atwell is small, but considering that speed, the nice thing for him is someone will take a shot on him and actually drafting him. I doubt he'll just be a free agent.
Yeah, they can bulk him up, can't they? I mean, Tariq Cohen and others, they kind of have that shell about him.
Well, again, I you can to some extent. I don't know enough about Tutu Atwell's frame. I mean, some people you can, and some people their body is what their body is.
Big boned,
yeah, I think
or small boned.
Metabolism is real fast. I think that because U of L, I remember one of the press conferences, Satterfield talking about, somebody asked him that question, and he said, we've done everything we can to get him, get his weight up, and he works hard in the weight room and everything. I think that's just sort of his size. I mean, maybe 10 pounds more, but the fact is, if he gets a step on somebody, they're not going to catch him. They're just not. So I would hope that he gets himself a shot. It would be cool if Baltimore got him, so he could have a little bit of a reunion with Lamar.
Lamarvelous.
I'd just like to say Godspeed, Howard Snellenberger.
Yeah, good one. Right.
He put U of L football on the map. Of course, he would be the first one to tell you that, but it is true.
That's a good point, but yeah.
Yeah. So the last of the Flagey boys are gone with Horning and Schnellenberger.
That's right. That's
Godspeed to both of them.
Yep.